This is the Silvertips Time Machine podcast. Here's your host, Keith Gerhart.
It's over! Look at that! Hockey game over!
Welcome to another edition of the Everett Silvertips Time Machine podcast. Hello, my friends. My name is Keith Gerhart, Everett Silvertips broadcaster from 2003 to 2007. And I would like to thank all the fans for their great, wonderful comments in our first 4 episodes. Much appreciated. Again, you can listen to the Silvertips podcast, as always, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and anywhere you get your podcasts. And also a big thank you to the Everett Silvertips, especially Silvertips broadcaster Casey Bryant, for posting this podcast on their Silvertips YouTube TV. So far, we've seen great followers. I don't know if we'll catch up to the Kelsey podcast following, but either way, it's great to have the fans comment, and so far, everything's been great. So it's been a fun project here this summer. Well, let's get to episode number 5 of our Everett Silvertips Time Machine podcast, and we're going to set the time machine really between 2005 and 2010. With this player, he is the better offensive players in Silvertips history, and it really came in his final 3 years with the Silvertips in his 5-year career. All time, he is 5th in the Silvertips all-time in points with 214, 6th all-time in goals with an even 100, and 8th all-time in assists with 114. He was under the radar for maybe the first 2 seasons, but you saw the skill on display in some spots in the 05, 06, 06, 07 season. But this player ended up playing over 800 professional hockey games in his professional career. Please welcome number 14, the pride of Valencia, California, good old Orange County, Shane Harper. Shane Harper, thank you for joining me. It is great to see you.
Thanks.
I guess first off, I'm just gonna say I know you're done playing, and we'll get to your playing days as professionally. But congratulations on a wonderful career. Over 800 games professionally. You got a few stints in the National Hockey League. We'll talk about that as well. But gosh, who ever thought when you came in as a 16-year-old in 2005 training camp with the Silvertips, you played over 800 professional games?
I know. Sometimes I'll talk about that with my dad, and just kind of look back, and it is pretty crazy. Especially like you were talking about, when I was 16 and 17. It's just so young to come into that level of play in that league, and you kind of take it for granted. You don't even realize when you're that age the level that you're playing at, and you just. I'm grateful that I did make it at such a young age, because you just rapidly improve. I don't know if I was quite ready to play at 16, but you just start taking leaps and bounds. I still remember to this day, like one of the first full practices we had, and I remember, we had Tori Weed out there and Mark Kress, and I just remember doing like a 2-on-2 full ice drill, and I got back into line, and I was like, I can't keep up with these guys. They're so much bigger. They're so much faster. And it's just so funny how you just gradually improve. The skating was like a huge part for me to just kind of, get stronger legs faster, be able to protect the puck.
I mean, talk about the coming into that training camp. Because I remember, I see this training camp roster, and there's a kid from California coming up here in 2005. And the name Shane Harper came up a lot during that training camp, and through the inter-squad scrimmages and everything like that. And next thing you know, you're on the team. So I guess kind of go through in your mind how training camp went. Obviously, it seemed to went well because Kevin Constantine was the general manager at the time, but thought of you highly. But talk about actually coming to the Everett Silvertips, because I would assume there was other options there for you in that like August, September of 2005.
Yeah, I don't even know if anybody really knows or remembers. I went to Kamloops Blazers camp when I was 15, so the year prior, not really knowing anything about the league other than my minor hockey league coach, Jack Bokus. He had played in the WHL. So he kind of opened all of our eyes to that league. So I went to camp in Kamloops when I was 15. I ended up telling them that I was going to go play college. I didn't even know what that meant. I just was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to come next year. I'm going to go to college. So they unprotected me. And then I think Jay Verity, I believe, saw me at a U.S. camp, and Everett protected me. And then I went to camp the next year, not really thinking of anything again. I only packed a suitcase for a week. It's been quite a long time ago. I don't remember everything, but I do remember some of the stuff. And all of a sudden, we had a meeting, and it's like, hey, like we actually want you to stay. You made the team. I looking back, I can't believe it. Honestly, it's pretty crazy. I'm assuming I went into it and just didn't have any expectations, and that's why maybe I performed a little bit better and made that team. And my dad was there with me, and he just said, hey, me and your mom will let you make the decision whether you want to stay or not. So I mean, seeing a 8,500 seat arena, 3 years old, I was a 16-year-old kid, wasn't going to turn that down. So I said, yeah, I got to stay. So we ended up going back home. I think flew back home and, had to pack stuff up. I think I went home for 3 days and had to tell my mom that I was leaving. Handle all the school stuff, moved out of high school, and then I started going to school in Everett. I think 3 or 4 days later, it was a whirlwind. Well, maybe school hadn't started yet, but it was a whirlwind time. And looking back at it, it sure seems like
it's almost like a different life.
16 is so
then,
young.
Huh? I remember talking to Cody Thornton. It almost seemed like it's a totally different life.
Yeah.
I guess even myself, I put myself included, just what kind of went through with that organization, most definitely.
Yeah. I love just thinking about those times. I cherish that.
And I know you mentioned like you went to high school, and I know talking to like, I don't know if you maybe had an easier time and maybe some of your Canadian teammates did, because you're just moving from California to Washington, so you're in the U.S. So Canada and U.S. schools could be a little different,
right? Right.
That had to be a little bit, I guess maybe a little bit easier adjustment than maybe just some of your teammates that were from Canada going to high school in Everett.
Yeah, I think so. I think both schools were really good with me. Both counselors on either side, they allowed the credits to align and match up, and I give my school in Valencia credit for allowing for me to come back home and graduate. After my second year with Everett, I was able to come home and actually graduate with all the people and kids that I grew up with. So that was great.
You got to Everett at a time where the transition, well, if you think about it, the lockout ended. All of a sudden, ice just opened up. Just the sea parted for a lot of things. Open ice, 2-line passes are allowed. A lot more skating, a lot more offense, a lot more skill. The shootout, which let's just enlighten the skill out there. You got there at a really good time, but you had a lot of guys in front of you in those first 2 lines. Hamill, Mueller, Wheat. I mean, and then
absolutely,
and then later on in the last 3 years, all of a sudden, boom, we're off and running. Talk about like your role in those first 2 years, because I know it was like at times you may be on the line too, maybe a little bit on the power play here and there, but it was mostly a 3rd, 4th line role for you at that time.
For sure, yeah. I think it was just me and Daly at 16. Full year, and Dale's was a lot faster, so I think he was able to jump in a little bit easier than I was. But yeah, I mean, most of the year I'd be on the 3rd, 4th line, and honestly, it's just about learning, really. And I grew up playing hockey in California where it was just a shootout. We weren't trying to play a whole lot of defense. We were trying to score more goals than the other team, and we did a lot of times. So all of a sudden playing in the WHL for Kevin Constantine, who's known to be one of the more defensive coaches, systematically, just so system oriented. And the points were there. If you just look on paper, I didn't have a ton of points, but the amount I learned and improved as a player, just exponential growth, I think, as a player. And I always viewed myself as a little bit of a late bloomer. I think it took me a little while to adjust in juniors. It took me a little while to adjust in pro. And I feel like I kept getting better, in my junior career and then in my pro career. So, yeah, definitely the first couple of years. And that was frustrating because I was used to scoring, a lot of points. So it definitely was an adjustment going from that to all of a sudden, like you said, playing behind Hamill and Mueller, but also I think I had a good attitude because I could see how good these guys were. I mean, Peter Mueller at age 17 was just like, incredible, he was incredible to watch. Hamill, same thing. He was a different type of player, just super skilled.
Yeah.
Mueller was just
definitely.
like a man amongst boys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that allowed me to maybe take a step back.
It's good people to kind of look up to in a certain way, even though you might be close to the same age. But I want to go to that 06, 07 team. I always think I compare both of them. Man, sometimes I go back and forth because sometimes I feel like the 05, 06 team was better than the 06, 07 team. I don't, and it's just maybe because I had maybe a little more. I mean, everyone has their older guys and things, but maybe just because the 05, 06 team had guys from that 03, 04 team on it, that because they've been through the war and the batter. Where do you see where do you compare both teams? Because I know the 06, 07 was a little different. Gutierrez was in there, and John Lammers was gone. You had Gutierrez there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you compare that? Yeah.
I get those years. Honestly, I get a lot of those years confused. Like
05,
Lammers was there 06, 07, right? Or was he? He was 05, 06?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he was 19. I always remember how old the guys were. I remember 20. He was 19. So Weedy was 20, Kress was 20, and then who?
No, he was still there at 19. He was 20 in the 06, 07, and then they got traded there in January at 19 in that trade for Zitteruk. But yeah,
okay.
Gosh, now you're getting maybe
Who
Sean
was the
Heshka?
third 20 and
yes, Sean.
Yes. Heshka had a great career as well. Yeah, so I honestly couldn't even tell you who was the better team. I mean, naming those three guys and Lammers, and we still had Mueller.
Well, you threw in Andre
Fiala
Fiala too. You threw Fiala in there too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fiala. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, holy smokes. What a squad.
Yeah, and they just ran into a really hot Vancouver team in that 05, 06 team. But I still go back, and I know I hate bringing it up, but you were on that team, that 06, 07, it was there. Everything was right there. It just, and I know, mention it to others, it just seemed, I don't know how you felt going into the playoffs. It just felt things got harder as the season went on. Did you feel that way at all into the playoffs? Like even the Spokane series, I thought during the regular season, I thought the Silvertips handled Spokane pretty good, but with a lot of those games, it was just a hard series to go into, and Prince George obviously just got hot at the right time.
Yeah, did they ever? They had Setaguchi and Drazenovich. I mean, man, they just kind of stole that series. It was. I don't even know how many games I played that series. I know that I watched at least a few of them. Because I think I was just healthy scratch in those playoff games, but. Yeah, that was tough, man. That was tough. What were we that year? Were we number one team in CHL, at least for some of it?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know. Let's go to some good things. Yeah, I always like. I do what I always like to bring it. It's history. You gotta go. You gotta deal with it. So, but yeah, but
it is. I mean, unfortunately, the playoffs didn't go as planned. Well, then it was an
3 years after
season,
that, and all of a sudden, Shane Harper just took off. I mean, I look at it because I think the first 2 years you maybe had a little over 20 goals in the first two, maybe not. I don't know if you got 20 goals in the first two seasons as a tip. Yeah, but after that, you ended up with 100.
Yeah,
your career with the Western Hockey League. Yeah, so others. I think Beach was still there, but Mueller left. Talk about that, and then new coach and John Buchanan. Talk about
Beach came in.
I guess the transition from Kevin Constantine to John Buchanan into those next couple seasons?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of everything, like guys leaving, and then just naturally, now you got 2 years under your belt, where as opposed to, being 18, sometimes it's your second year there. I already had 2 years under my belt. And then, John was a different type of coach. Constantine was a lot tougher, like I was saying, defensively. I think maybe I didn't quite open up as a player. I know that I was a little afraid to make a mistake. Not that it was wrong. Like I said, I learned so much from him. But yeah, I think John gave me a little bit looser leash. I think we needed a little bit of extra scoring. I started to kind of do what I used to do. I know when I was in a little bit of a slump, I remember John sitting me down and just saying, when you first came here, you used to you're not a big guy, but I'd go to the net, I'd tip pucks in, I'd wrap pucks around. I was never afraid to go to the dirty areas and, try to get like greasy little goals. And I do have good stick skills around the net. So I think I just had to kind of figure out what I was good at and not forget it, and then just kind of get back to that. And then the confidence, you just start rolling. Because, I had a pretty good 18-year-old year, but then my 19 and 20. And then obviously when you're 20, you're pretty much older than everybody.
All time in the Everett Silvertips Hockey Club in points, 214 points, a lot of those in your last 3 years. 5 years as a Silvertip, and we'll get to your pro career here in a little bit, but I know a lot of the guys I've talked to in this podcast said how Kevin, Constantine, and with John and Jay kind of prepared you to be a pro. I mean, they want to prepare pros and get far, but your time with Everett,
for sure.
And for me seeing it afar at that time, that was a heck of a run for you. I mean, that's good 5 years, especially from a kid from California. And, and that next thing you know, top 5 in points for the Silvertips. That's something to be definitely proud of. And I know a lot of Silvertip fans really appreciate all the highlights you gave them in those 5 years.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, I think it was, the one thing about me, I think, is that I always continue to try and build on what I had. I felt like I had a pretty good attitude in my career. I always wanted more, and I always was trying to improve. That's definitely something that I'm proud of in my career. Even towards the end, when I was getting older, and I still wanted to perform and get better. So I think that's especially what you got to do in juniors. I mean, you're done at 20, 21. You can't keep playing. So you gotta improve, and then try to take advantage of the opportunity when you're given one. And yeah, the amount I learned in Everett is, I mean, all 3 of the coaches I had, Kevin, John, and then Craig Hartsburg, every single one of them, helped in a different way, helped me grow my game. And ultimately, I would have never thought at 20 I was gonna sign an NHL deal. I mean, I remember at 18, I wasn't even considered to be drafted. That was after my 17-year-old year. I wasn't even close to ready. You have all these first round draft picks around you, and it's like, oh man, that seems like so hard to do, far from me. But I just kept plugging away, just kept getting better, kept working on my strength, my speed. I remember when I was 16, I think I was scratched between 10 to 14 games all year. Healthy scratch. And I think I put on 10 pounds of muscle that first year. I think I was like 160 pounds. And I think I came home at like 170. So, that was definitely something that, I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed working out off the ice and improving that way.
Was it 100% looking to go pro? Because I know the Flyers ended up picking you up as a undrafted free agent, but was there a school possibly looking at any school, or was it pro all the way after your 20-year-old year?
I was going to try to do anything to go pro. I was looking at school, I was obviously in the back of my mind, but we, all the 20-year-olds would get like letters from like ECHL teams, like whether they're offering tryouts or whatever. So I didn't know how anything worked. Not many of us did, but I think I signed in March, so the season wasn't even over yet. So I was like, before our season was over, I had signed an NHL deal, and so I knew from then on that it was like go time, and I was really fortunate to sign a 3-year deal, so I kind of knew what I was going to be doing for the next few years.
Yeah, the Adirondack Phantoms of the American Hockey League, and now they're the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, actually, right now in Allentown, Pennsylvania. This was a top American Hockey League affiliate with the Philadelphia Flyers, and we'll go talk about the city of Adirondack because obviously it's a special place in your heart because that's pretty much where you're living now. In New York, so there is a reason for it.
That's
whoever
where
thought when you first got there. I will go to one piece. Yeah, that's true. I do want to go to one special goal, and I remember when we text back and forth about this. All right, so before Bryce Harper for the Philadelphia Phillies hit that home run against the Padres in 2022 at the Bedlam at the Bank at Citizens Bank to go to the World Series. 10 years before that, in 2012, the American Hockey League outdoor game was played at Citizens Bank Park between the Phantoms and the Hershey Bears, which are arch rivals, always have been. Even when I was growing up, watching those two teams battle it out, and Hershey and Philly when they were the Philadelphia Phantoms at the time. There was a game where the Phantoms, your team, tied it up late in the third period outdoors at Citizens Bank Park in front of 46,000 fans, which is a great crowd for the Phillies game, basically. And then you go in and score the overtime winner in the outdoor game in front of 46,000 pretty in the first minute of the overtime to win it. And you can pull up the highlight on YouTube, fans, if you get a chance. It's great because there's a lot of familiar media faces I remember seeing that are still there in Philadelphia still to this day. Talk about that outdoor overtime game winner against Hershey, just the experience in playing one of those for you.
Yeah, that was the only outdoor game I ever got to play. It was just so neat. I mean, the neatest part is just getting out there and the lights are on. And it's kind of an eerie type of playing outdoors, like in a baseball stadium, because the rink is there, but then the fans are so far back. So even though there was that many people there, it seemed like quiet when you're playing. It seems like kind of more intimate, and having nothing right beyond the boards. So, but yeah, that's something people around here still. I'll be at a grocery store and they'll bring that up, and I'll obviously never forget that. It was pretty darn cool to get to score the overtime winner. I think who was Braden Holtby was in net. He ended up having a pretty darn good career. So yeah, that was just special, really special, and getting to go back in the Phillies locker room after that and celebrate.
Yeah, it definitely had to be cool. And I know I remember watching it, being back home in Pennsylvania, apparently that week too, and just put a smile on my face seeing you score that game-winning overtime goal. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think they took my stick, my gloves, maybe even my helmet. They put it in the Hall of Fame because at the time it was the AHL attendance record. I never got that stuff back. I don't know where it is.
Then off to Philadelphia Flyers training camp, but it had to be great going into your first training camp. I almost feel like it seemed like it was maybe obviously higher level, a little similar to when you went to Silvertips training camp, but playing with the big boys this time.
Oh my goodness, it was pretty much just a rerun of my training camp in Everett or my first couple practices when I'm looking around saying, I don't think these guys are so good. It's just another complete step of pace, strength, and I guess even like puck movement is just so fast. The speed and the strength. I don't think I wasn't ready for it, especially at the NHL level. So, it was again just such great experience, and I just kept building on it and just kept getting better. It took me a good 3 years. I didn't even sign an NHL deal after those first 3 years because it just kind of. But then after the third year, it kind of was the same thing. The fourth year, I kind of started to turn around and figure it out. But yeah, getting to go to training camp in Philadelphia, be with the Flyers organization, like such a great organization with such history. It was really neat seeing like Bobby Clark in the hallway, and um, Paul Holmgren was the GM at the time. Just like some pretty big names, and just pretty cool looking back.
Then after a stint with the Flyers, or basically the Phantoms, you got traded and more transactional deals to the Islanders, and you finally, I always think things get, how would you say it? Timing is always works out right for people, and it certainly worked right for you when you got into the Florida Panthers organization. And I know this is pre Matthew Tkachuk, so guys like Roberto Luongo was on the team. I believe Alexander Barkov was on that team as well.
Ekblad. Yeah, that was Huberdeau when Huberdeau got traded for Tkachuk. Yeah, I think that is pretty much it.
Also on that team was a older veteran, but man, a Hall of Fame veteran in Jaromir Jagr, playing his last couple of years in the National Hockey League. He must have been a blast to play for and play with.
Loved him. Nice guy. He just was wanted to have fun. Really, I think he just was enjoying still being in the NHL. He had some crazy off ice workout habits, and even on ice, he'd have like ankle weights on the ice on his skates. He'd have ankle weights out there. Then he'd be walking around all day with ankle weights. He'd be doing like some really crazy off ice drills. He'd like switch his stick in the pool to like for core stability on the road. Yes, like just cool, like it's like cool little neat things. And I'm like, wow. He was like, I'm a big like stick guy, like I'm a tinker. He was like always carrying a stick, and he had like a rack of like not a lie, 20 to 40 sticks, and he'd be picking off different ones. This one doesn't work, take a different one, check the curve. I love seeing that stuff because, like I said, I'm a tinkerer myself, and I'm like, oh, I love that he's like all about his sticks because I am too. But yeah, pretty cool. I love that organization. Yeah, so I was with Portland my first year, and we were affiliated with Florida, and I was having a good year in Portland that year, and I just had got a high ankle sprain, and the GM of the team, Tom Rowe, had said, Shane, I'm sorry you got hurt. You were going to get called up. And I was like, didn't know how to feel about that. Didn't know whether he was just saying it or not, but then ends up the next year I actually made the team out of camp. So that was the most fun part. Like now I watch like Hard Knocks football training camp or something. And it's like, that's pretty cool. I was able to do that. And I was the last man standing. I was either going to be the last cut or I'm just going to be the last one to make the team. And I made it that year. It was pretty neat. Something that I'll never forget. So it was cool being with the team the whole time of the lead up. And then, eventually I did get sent down, but it was just cool to be there.
And I know your role in Florida was maybe pretty similar how your role was with the 2005, 2006 Silvertips when you first got into Everett. I mean, you were a third, fourth line guy with the Florida Panthers. In fact, I remember you seeing a highlight on YouTube that you went over and literally threw the body and checked Gabriel Landeskog and ended up in a fight fighting one of his his line mates. So it definitely looks like you bulked up, and you definitely looked like you threw the body around too.
I know. Yeah. Again, honestly, and I'm not just saying this because it's a Silvertips podcast, but no, I learned that from the Silvertips. Again, my 20-year-old year with Hartsburg, I was obviously older. I was, bigger than a lot of guys, just not height wise, but thicker because playing against younger kids. So I really laid the body in playoffs. I think we lost in Game 7, but even the year before, playoffs, I really tried to, lay the body, be physical, and then, I noticed that it actually helped my offensive game better because I just wasn't afraid to get to the net, just whatever it was. So whenever I played playoffs after that, I always try to bring that same mentality. So then when I was with Florida, I was only playing, on the fourth line and getting limited minutes. Some games were different where I'd play more, but some games that if I'd play like, 5-6 minutes, if I had a chance to hit somebody, I was going to hit somebody. So I was trying to do whatever it took to stay in the NHL.
And obviously, probably your biggest moment in your professional career, one of them anyway, was scoring your first National Hockey League goal as a Florida Panther. That's awesome. And, just Pretty cool.
Pucks, yeah, it's at home, my parents' house actually. And I actually scored. Yeah, I actually scored two that game. So I had 2 goals that game. And yeah, they actually put it in a plaque, and they ended up sending it to my parents.
So I know with a long pro career, did you learn anything about yourself? Playing that many games, playing with a couple teams. What did you learn about yourself in your professional career?
I think I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. It's just a grind. It's a many years, and you just, not to be cliche, but you just, you never give up. You keep. I I played that long because, first of all, I loved it. I just love the game. Um, I love so many aspects about it. I love the skill part. I'd stay later after practice just because I enjoyed doing it, whether it was shooting or stick handling. It's what I grew up doing, and it's because I love doing it. So I think I learned that I could I could enjoy the grind. There's times when you don't. There's plenty of times when you don't, and it's hard. But I never gave up, and it kind of kept plugging away. And I was really just obviously now happy that I was able to play in the NHL and get those games and have the puck on the wall.
And then off to Europe, the Shane Harper's European vacation. So you played in the KHL in Russia and also in Sweden from the year 2017 to 2021, mostly in Sweden. Talk about your European experience as a hockey player.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the KHL was awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't have a great year for whatever reason. Our team wasn't very good. I didn't perform great myself. But I honestly loved being there. I wish I would have done better there. The hockey in Russia is like incredible. Um, it's their NHL. It's their biggest sport in the whole country. Every game is nationally televised. Same with Sweden. Sweden, like, country's obviously a lot smaller, and hockey's their number one thing. So I had just such a good experience over in Europe. Played 3 years in Sweden, like you said. Megan, my wife, was able to come with me in Sweden. She got pregnant our last year, and then that was like COVID-ish time, so that was like kind of an annoying kind of time with travel, being over there. But Sweden was a lot better, a lot easier transition. Everybody speaks English in Sweden. Russia, not so much. No, really no English. I'm doing charades in the cab, trying to get to where I want to be. But I didn't have any issues over there. I tell everybody that if you ever have the opportunity to go to Moscow, it's a beautiful, beautiful city. People were nice to me. I have nothing but my experience there. I have nothing but good things to say about it. And obviously the hockey was awesome. Getting to play against Datsuk and Kovalchuk was pretty.
I'll tell you, Sweden had to be a great place to play. The hockey there is wonderful. I mean, if you think about those countries, Finland, Sweden, big rivals. I mean, you got Denmark, right there as well. But those Scandinavian countries, especially in Sweden, is just a huge hockey hotbed. And you just say the name Peter Forsberg, and they know what you're talking about.
Hockey's so good. It's for sure whether if KHL is the best, Sweden could be definitely argued. I know a lot of people consider it the second best league in Europe, next to the KHL. The hockey's so good. It's so fast. It's defensive. It does take a little bit getting used to playing on the big ice over there. And there's a lot more younger players in Sweden. They really do a good job of bringing the kids in from their junior team and then up to the pro level. They do a great job, and every single one of these Swedes can skate like the wind. It's pretty incredible how good these guys are. And then obviously there's a lot of Finnish players as well. It's right next door. So yeah, the hockey there is awesome. And then just the TV aspect of every game, again, nationally televised. Interviews between periods. It's pretty much a mini NHL. They do a really good job with it, and that makes it more fun to play. You get to play less games. The travel's easier, and the quality of hockey and the quality of the entertainment aspect.
Yeah, so after your career in Sweden, went back to the Adirondack area in upstate New York. This time with the ECHL team, the Adirondack Thunder. I mean, talk about your move back there, which is pretty much now your second home. It's a beautiful area up there in the Adirondack Mountains in northern New York. Talk about coming back to the U.S. to play your last few years.
Yeah. We had our firstborn Haven was born my last year in Sweden. So it was like, all right, I think it's time to get back to the U.S. So Haven was born, and the next year I was like, I mean, I've been living here since full time a couple years before Haven was born, and I just told Megan, why don't I just come home and I'll play. I said I was going to play, 1 or 2 years here in Adirondack. I mean, the rink is 7 minutes from our house, so it was like, what? How could I turn that down? I got to come home and play. And I have friends here, not just Megan's family, but I have a bunch of friends that I know here now. So it was a lot of fun. I ended up playing, 3 years. So I wasn't gonna play the third year, but I was like, all right, I'll play one more year. I had a blast, and yeah, just kind of calls it a career after that. I miss it. I do miss it. Sometimes I wish I could just go over there. It's still, the rink is still so close. I wish I could play sometimes, but no, it was a really great way to like end.
And obviously, your last season was in the 23-24 campaign in the ECHL with Adirondack. Talk about hanging up the skates and retiring from professional hockey.
It was a little bit of everything. It was, obviously the ECHL, you're not making financially what you're making over in Europe. Even the AHL. So it was pretty much, I can't keep playing. It's ECHL is built for younger kids. So it was a combination of a few things. I felt like I could still play, but I was also okay stopping, and then also, it's time to kind of move on with the next part of your life, and job wise, career wise, ultimately.
So basically, Shane, I know you're done playing, but what are you doing nowadays? How's the family, and what are you doing nowadays?
Yeah, so I'm working for Megan's family's business. So that was, another part of why I did come here. Her dad has a real estate company here, or a residential real estate. He's into apartment complexes here, but I'm not doing that. But his company actually bought a golf course, and after hockey, my big passion is golf. So I'm actually, um, I mean, we're completely renovating and restoring this golf course that was built in 1991, and just over the years we've had a major decline. There was no money getting put back into it. It was, in 5 years it probably would have closed down. So we're completely renovating it, and I'm in charge of kind of overseeing construction. We just redid all of our tee boxes, so that it's been kind of fun.
I know, Shane, Adirondack's a beautiful area. I think it's one of the, I guess you can say, a hidden treasure up in upper state New York, even in the East Coast. I know from Pennsylvania, I've heard of it plenty of times, but Adirondack is a absolute beautiful area. The mountains, you got lakes. Must be great living there.
No, the summers are absolutely beautiful. Lake George is 20 minutes away. The winters are obviously a little bit different than California, but I don't mind. I actually don't mind the change of seasons. I love October. I love seeing the fall and the leaves. Yeah, no, I've enjoyed.
I know, going back to the Silvertips a little bit, you pretty much grew up there. I mean, you were a 16-year-old your first year, basically for your 5 years in Everett, so you pretty much grew up some pretty pivotal years as a teenager, going to high school in Everett and then graduating back in California, and just growing up as a person and as a hockey player in Everett, Washington.
Oh, major. Yeah, from like you said, not only just, playing, but growing up. So it was just a huge influence in my life. I still miss it. I tell Megan all the time that I want to go back to the Pacific Northwest so bad, and I still think about it. It's been 15 years since I was playing there, but I think about it often. I love that area. I know it rained a lot when I was there, but I have nothing but good memories there, and I love how I just love when I think about it, I just love how green it is. It's so beautiful there. And I would love to say thank you to all the fans, especially I'm sure it'd be cool for some of them that are listening to this now. A little bit of a throwback, and yeah, I want to say thank you to everybody for the support when I was there, and I know I'll be there soon. I just hopefully sooner than later, and hopefully we can get out there with the kids.
Well, I appreciate you, Shane, coming on, taking some time away from your schedule, and coming onto this podcast tonight. Much appreciated, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Keith. I appreciate it. Yeah, this was great.
That's the pride of Valencia, California, number 14, Shane Harper. This has been another edition of the Everett Silvertips Time Machine podcast. Again, thank you, everyone, for your wonderful comments so far. Great vibes all the way around, and we'll get more players on for you, I promise, as the summer rolls on, and hopefully during the next season here, the 25-26 campaign for your current Everett Silvertips. Don't forget, fans, you can listen to this podcast on Spotify and also on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to watch this episode on Silvertips YouTube TV right on YouTube. Again, this is the Everett Silvertips Time Machine podcast. My name is Keith Gerhart. Good night and good hockey.